Hello, and welcome to UK Paranormal Files. Through the annals of history, people have seen unexplainable lights in the sky, the kind of phenomena that we commonly refer to as UFOs. This episode is the second of a series, where we shall take a look through a number of these historic accounts, as recorded via mainstream news sources of the day. If you missed the first episode, I shall link to it in the description below. Four members of staff of the Blythe Harbour Commission reported seeing on Monday an object which closely resembled the much discussed flying saucers. They were unanimous in describing this object as being crescent-shaped and white or silver in colour, and said that although it was too high to ascertain the approximate size, it appeared much larger than a crescent moon. They saw the object, which travelled right across the horizon in 10 or 15 seconds, on Monday morning at 10:45. It was travelling in a southwesterly direction. When interviewed, the man who first saw the saucer said, "Whether or not it was a flying saucer is a matter open to doubt, but it was definitely travelling too fast to be either an aeroplane or a cloud formation. And I myself have never seen anything like it, and may never see anything like it in my life." The four men concerned did not wish to have their names disclosed. Extensive inquiries made by the News Post did not reveal any other Blythe people who saw the object. The weather on Monday morning was clear, with bright sunshine and few clouds. This is believed to be the first time anyone on the northeast coast has reported seeing a flying saucer. Arnhem, January 15th. We had this afternoon the most violent clap of thunder that has been known for many years, and a short time after, there appeared a kind of phenomenon in the heavens towards the southeast, which descended in form of a column of fire, darting rays of light as large as a man's arm, and as they approached the earth, dispersed like bombs filled with combustibles. Some of them falling on the church at Buchholz set it on fire. We can discover the flames hither. This has occasioned great consternation. Some days ago, we presented our readers with a curious advertisement copied from the Daily Advertiser. The following is taken from the Public Ledger of this morning. Two gentlemen, who were returning from Hammersmith on Wednesday se'nnight, observed, just as they arrived at the gate at Hyde Park Corner, the following wonderful phenomenon in the moon. It was then about 5:30 past 9, when they were remarking the clearness of the moon and the firmament. At this instant, one of the gentlemen saw dart, to the eastward from the body of the moon in the upper hemisphere, a little above that planet, a fiery meteor to the extent of nearly 2 of its diameters. The form was an acute triangle, with the base nearly as broad as a semi-diameter of the above luminary. The gentleman had no sooner excited the attention of his friend to this strange appearance than they both perceived another meteor of the same nature darting to a distance of about a semi-diameter and a half of the moon below the other, of the same form and about half the size. After they had continued about 2 minutes, the latter withdrew itself by a contracting curve into the lower hemisphere, and in a few seconds the upper withdrew in the same form, direction and manner. The gentleman likewise observed that whilst these meteors were in a state of emanation, the moon lost its spherical form, beneath that part from which they had darted. But as soon as the meteors disappeared, the luminary recovered its usual aspect as if nothing had occurred. To prove the authenticity of this intelligence, the two gentlemen's names and places of abode are left with the printer of the paper from which this article is copied. A flying object spun through the air along the Mersey last night, according to 2 people in different parts of the city. It was huge and cylindrical, strangely phosphorescent, and hovered for fully 5 minutes over the pierhead. Peter Wilson, 17 years old builder of 200 Queen's Drive, Liverpool 14, was walking with his girlfriend near the Clubmoor Cinema when he saw the saucer. I was scared stiff, he told the Echo. My girlfriend was so startled, she ran home. He thought the object was about 15 yards in diameter and was spinning 700 feet above the ground. It seemed to be looking at something, he commented. At 10:45 p.m, it raced away in the direction of the pierhead. Meanwhile, when he was walking home, Mr. Ilton Fishgold, 45 Woolton Road, Birkenhead, said he saw a saucer hovering over the pierhead at 11 p.m. I was scared stiff. At first I couldn't believe my eyes, but there it was. A great big glowing thing spinning round all the time, he said this afternoon. Sir, as you know, seldom ever have I tired your patience with my scrawl or rapped for admission at your influential steam press door. Hence I excusably plead for a free access this time to your columns to make a few observations on the above heading. There has been of late in this neighbourhood some very surprising talk about a ghost or goblin, which is stated to have been seen recently by many respectable persons, and which terrifies everybody who may happen to pass its solitary hiding hole. From whom, how or whence this marvellous story first sprang to light, I am not able at present to ascertain, but I well remember being at a certain neighbouring house about a month ago, when an artist from London, who was staying in this neighbourhood at that time, who also happened to be there, first acquainted me of it, having, as he stated, been an eyewitness of the strange and unaccountable phenomenon only a night or 2 previous. He gave us a full account of what he had heard and seen, and related all with such evident self-conviction and horror that really it made some individuals present to shrink with fear and to tremble like the aspen leaf, while others could not but betray a sceptic smile and wink at each other in a sportive and unbelieving manner, though indeed we never had the least reason to discredit the speaker on any former occasion. This was the first hint I ever had of this curious report, but since then it has crept, it seems, to everybody's ears, and is as publicly known as that of Mr.'s, name redacted, marriage. Concerning this story, as well as all stories of such character, people in this country widely differ in their opinions. One party believes all that is said at once and without the least hesitation, and thinks it as worthy of acceptation as that of the Gospel of St. John. The other doubts all, and will not say much one way or the other, but looks suspiciously over it as a canonical Bible believer would on the books of the Apocrypha. And the third denies all, and goes so far as to deny even the existence of a spirit. And when a fair argument in the affirmative is brought to bear middling tight on its breast, invariably gets into a towering passion. It ridicules the first and pities the second. The first is a hot-headed Jesuit, the second an indifferent skeptic, and the third a scornful infidel. Until some time last week, I belonged to the second, but am since then inclined to relinquish that position and join the first party. Now, I should just say a word how this wonderful change was wrought in me and how I became a turncoat. About 2 miles below Rhyherdair, on the Rye bank, close to the roadside which leads to Bilf, there are huge cliffs of overhanging rocks intimately known by the name of Cerrig Gwinion, which means white stones. These are the sombre seat of the strange and unwelcome visitor. As soon as the night spreads over us its gloomy mantle of darkness and solitude, almost all persons who may happen to pass by that way are troubled by its waggish tricks. Some, I believe, are favoured with a more special amount of its company than others, but why such partiality is shown I am at a loss to know, unless that it wants to declare openly who its best friends are. However, as I was going home rather late from Raihadir Market some night last week, in company with another middle-aged man, and as soon as we had arrived at this frightful spot, which is on our way home, we both saw a flash of forced light shooting to the air from among the rocks, which was instantly followed by a magnificent ball of fire crossing leisurely right above our heads to the Breckenshire side of the river. We both stood stunned, and before we scarcely had a moment to reflect, the light glanced back again with almost a lightning speed, and as it entered the cliffs from whence it started, a terrific crackling noise ensued, as if the whole rocks were rent asunder. Subsequently, breathless silence overshadowed the whole place for a few minutes, and we both marched on slowly, being alarmed and greatly confused by what we had just seen. But ere we had gone at furthest 30 paces, when we were insulted by the uncourteous goblin. My friend's hat was knocked off his head, without apology, and was flung topsy-turvy right into the midst of the ditch by the roadside. Of course our eyes darted around, but strange to say, we could not either see or hear anything. I was subsequently told that another man met with the same disaster, and what is still more curious, a very respectable woman, who passed by lately, states that she had her shoe pulled off her right foot, almost unawares to herself, and had to walk along through the dirt shoeless for some distance until she came and stumbled against it, when she stooped down and picked it up and calmly replaced it on her foot. She must either be a woman of extraordinary strong nerve, or must have had a very clear understanding of what was going on. Else, she would have fainted away right on the spot. However, my friend picked up his hat and clapped it on his head, muddy as it was, and straight away walked off as fast as we possibly could. But before we had gone but a short distance, a rattling noise was heard coming from behind, sometimes hissing like 10,000 geese, other times breaking out into outbursts of lions roaring, and in less than a twinkling of an eye, an awful shadow overhung our heads, or rather some winged monster, covering a space of 4 or 5 yards square, which kept following us until we arrived at a certain little brook which crosses the road, when, to our great relief, it made its farewell exit for the night. These are the chief items of our own experimental observations, and many more similar testimonies of truth-telling men might yet be added. But, thinking the above sufficient for the time being to illustrate this strange phenomenon, I shall, therefore, withhold my pen. Now, courteous reader, what dost thou say of these facts? We are all in a terrible confusion in this neighbourhood, and cannot possibly arrive at any clear and satisfactory conclusion concerning the remarkable mystery. We beg to refer, therefore, unto thee for an explanation, which would afford us great relief. Signed, Evan Watkins' nephew. So what do you think of these articles? Do you think these are eyewitness accounts of UFOs and alien encounters, described as honestly and accurately as possible by these eyewitnesses and journalists? Or do you think there are mundane and obvious explanations for each? Let me know in the comments section down below. And please also do remember to click the thumbs up button too if you have enjoyed this episode. It would be greatly appreciated too if you would go ahead and click the subscribe button and turn on notifications. That way, YouTube will alert you the next time a regularly scheduled episode goes up on this channel. As always, all that's left for me to say is, thanks very much for watching.